I say a prayer every night. Whatever I do, I'll get it right. With no regret, no guilt, no shame. This time, no, not this time. Once I surrender, I won't dare look back. 'Cause if I do, I'll get off track. Move ahead in faith and patiently await.
Wow.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, posted in the house along with my two co-hosts, Angie and Tia. And we have Robin Cox in the house tonight, y'all. What's up, what's up, what's up?
Hello,
What's going
hello,
on, Robin?
hello. How you
Hey,
doing?
what's going on? I'm good. How you doing? Smile on your face, looking good. I see you.
Yeah, full belly. That's what a full belly does
Full,
to you.
yeah. Tia and Angie, what's up, y'all?
Hey
Now,
everybody.
Yeah, we got people in here already. What's up? What's up? Tia, you said something? Can you hear us, Robin?
I can hear you very well.
Okay, tell us about yourself. Tell us where you from. Tell us your you ain't gotta tell us your age. 'Cause wow,
Heck,
we don't
no,
want to
no,
ask no
no,
one
no,
age
no.
nothing like that.
No, no, no.
Just tell us what you tell us about Robin Cox. I already know a little bit, but let the people know, let the chat know, let everybody know what type of G you is, y'all here. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they know. I don't
Man.
think. I mean, I've been to Slim's barbecues and stuff like that, but I don't think I met you. I don't think I met you. I've been probably like 3 or 4 of them, but I don't think I never met you. Angie met
I was
you.
at every barbecue.
Yeah,
I
but I don't
didn't
think I
miss
met you.
none of them. That's
Yeah, I
my
don't think
one
I
and
met you
only
though.
son. I have 2 children,
Mm.
one boy, one girl, and he's the oldest. That's my thug thizzle. Looking at I was looking at the intro again, and it touches me every time I look at it. I think I've watched it maybe like 10 times, you know, um, because it touches me. Everything that I've been through in my life from childhood till now. Um, just like I said, my pain became my purpose. It became my purpose. Even as a kid, even as a kid, at 13, I was cooking full course meals because my mom was too sick to get out of bed. She was a dialysis patient, and I had to take care of her, so it made me grow up a lot quicker. My father was a heroin user. My only uncle was a heroin user. Well, I have 2 uncles, but my dad's brother, his only brother, was a heroin user. I grew up with alcoholics and drug addicts, um, and it kind of shaped my life in a lot of ways. I grew up on 24th of New Jersey, one of the hardest neighborhoods around. It looks like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood now. It ain't ours no more. But love my peoples. But it wasn't always easy. It wasn't always easy. At the age of 13, I had my virginity taken by a grown man. At the age of 14, I was pregnant with my son. And at 15 is when I had him. Then my mom turned around and died when I was 17. And I was a single mom. Now, that's not to say I didn't have a great support system because I was the youngest. So the guys in my neighborhood took care of me and my son. My son was passed around. That's probably why he's so bad. He was so bad and halfway is still now. Um, but he went from car to car, from person to person. They kept him. Actually, his nickname back then was Rambo because my son was bad as fuck. Excuse me, he was bad as hell. That still didn't make it no better. But they took care of me. They took very good care of my son and I when my mom passed away. But there were so many things that were going on back then in my life and in my mind and in my head. When you grow up in the hood, they don't teach you to seek therapy when you lose someone close to you. That's the last thing on everybody's mind. What we do in the hood when somebody passes away, we smoke, we drink, we party, and we cry together. And that's what I did. That's exactly what I did. I cried and I drank and I smoked. And that's when I was introduced to cocaine when I was 17. Um, and it was my fault. I'm blamed. I take full responsibility for that. I begged and begged and begged until they let me try it. And that was my introduction to it. And I figured out that I liked it. I liked the taste. I liked how it made me feel. I liked everything about cocaine. So that's what I did. I didn't realize that I was a dope fiend until the guys that I used to get my drugs from start going to jail. Because, eventually you stay in the game too long, it's bound to happen. Whether your fault or due to somebody else's. And they start going to jail and I start having to pay for it. And when the money was gone, I had to figure out other ways to get the drugs. That's exactly what I did. I figured out other ways to get the drugs. I went from being a straight A student, a cheerleader. I was a cheerleader for the wrestling team, straight A student, cheerleader, to a teenage mom, to being a dope fiend. I was always very intelligent, always in school activities. I was the president of the traffic guard. I was president of the drill team in grade school. I was on student council. You name it, I did it. I was one of those kids that stayed very involved and it really stayed in the house for the most part. I hung out with some of my friends, but I was a homebody. Stayed at home and I took care of my mom. My mom was very sick and half the time she couldn't get out the bed. So I washed her up. I cleaned her up. When she couldn't make it to the bathroom, I was the one wiping her boo boo off the floor. Man, I was that kid that didn't leave my mom's side. It got to the point where I slept in the bed with her at night because I didn't want her to be by herself. Man, I miss that lady. But in the process of my mom being dialysis, she was a dialysis patient, a kidney patient. Her veins would always collapse. So she stayed in the hospital a lot, but her veins collapsed a lot. And there were times where they would go in her neck and take veins out of her neck and put it in her arm so she can continue with the dialysis. And they would let it heal from the inside out. I was the one that would take the galls and replace the galls. You know, I was the one when she couldn't dialyze at the dialysis center and she was having to do it at home. I was the one I learned how to change the dialysis bags at home. I learned how to take her blood pressure. I learned how to cook from my mama's bed. She taught me step by step while she was in bed how to cook. And through that whole thing, my brothers, because I have no blood brothers, but I have a ton of brothers that I love dearly. They was all there, but I watched my mom deteriorate over the years. And it was hard to watch. But no matter what, I never left my mom's side. Even after I had Brandon, my mom actually was the first one to hold him. But I hmm, I watched her. The most loving and caring woman that you would ever meet. Cared for everyone. It didn't matter who. Um, when she passed away, it was hard. It was really hard. But my brothers, they wrapped their arms around me and they loved me. And they took care of me and Brandon through that. And again, that's around the time I got introduced to cocaine. I'd already experimented with weed and a little alcohol, but I had never tried anything outside of that until after she passed away. So, they started going to jail and I was left to figure out a way to get the dope on my own. And when I didn't have no money, I had to get creative with that part of it. And I started shoplifting. The first thing I did was I started shoplifting because the ladies that I was using drugs with, they told me if I wanted to get high, I needed to get my own. So I started shoplifting. And that opened doors, other doors, because now I was really entering into um, the atmosphere of using drugs. Whereas I was around friends and, family using, now I was venturing outside of that realm. And I was starting to use drugs with new people. And with new people come new devils. And oh man, I was using and using and using, and eventually a family member, a blood family member, introduced me to prostitution. Straight up introduced me to prostitution. I thought we were going for a walk one night. It was a nice night. outside, and I thought we were just going for a walk. And she was she was known in her neighborhood. So when she would stop to talk to people, I just thought it was people she knew. And next thing I know, she was putting me in cars. Because at that time wasn't looking like a dope fiend yet. I was using, but I was still maintaining my look. And that was when I started selling my body. But what got me, because I was still in the process of numbing myself from all the pain. By then, by this time, I had lost my mom. My dad passed away as a result of heroin use. My only uncle passed away, his brother. My mom has a brother, but I really didn't know him like that. That's why I keep saying my only uncle. He passed away from complications of heroin use. I was losing my best friend got shot in the head. I was losing everybody that kept me sane. And by the time I lost my best friend, who was also my kid's godmother, especially my daughter, but she was both my kid's godmother. She loved both of them to death. When I lost her, that's when the drug use just took over completely. Completely. All I know is that I had to live for my kids, but I really wanted to die. Depression had taken over. I didn't see no way out. The pain was so great because not only was I having to deal with my pain, I was having to deal with both my kids' pain from losing her. And that was greater than my pain could ever be. When you can't fix your kids' pain, it was a lot. It was overwhelming. And the only thing that kept me from committing suicide was the drugs. I was able to numb myself so I could be present for my kids. I didn't say that I was a great mom at that time, but it kept me alive because I wanted to die. I wanted to die. I had no one to take care of my kids. My mom, my dad was gone, my only uncle was gone, my best friend was gone, and I had no one to depend on. And they had nobody but me, them two right there. All they had was me. And I knew that. Then DCS came along and took the two people that kept me alive. And my drug use got even worse. It got even worse. I really stopped caring. Huh. It got worse and worse and worse. Whereas I was, you know, being confined to certain areas with my drug use, I start venturing out into different neighborhoods because wherever the good dope was, is where I wanted to be. or wherever there was a good trick. Because at that time, again, I didn't care. I just wanted to stay numb 24/7. So I don't care where I was. If I was on Post Road and somebody told me that there was a dope dealer and on Raymond Street that had the good dope, I would walk to Raymond Street if I needed to get it. Anything to stay numb. And my theory was is maybe I could turn two or three tricks on the way there and get more dope. I was completely lost. And my life got out of control more and more and more and more. I start picking up drug cases. I start picking up shoplifting. Wait a minute. Never caught a drug case. Let me back that up. I start catching shoplifting cases. Should have had a couple of drug cases, but I didn't. But I start catching shoplifting cases left and right, to the point where within the 5 year span, I ended up with 7 felonies. I was going in court telling them I needed help, I need help, I need help, I need help. And the judge's only solution was to send me to prison. He said, I can't help you, Miss Cox, is what he told me. He said, maybe DOC can and send me to prison. That's when my son got really introduced to the streets. Like he knew of the streets and he was around the streets, but I was gone. So he was really on his own. And he found his family out there. He had to survive. But being in prison was an experience in itself. You in there, you don't know what's going on with your kids. You don't know if they all right. And in there, I ain't got no dope to numb my feelings. I had to feel it. Oh man, I felt as if I didn't have nobody. Yeah, I had a few friends, but none like Shalonda. There's so much more to this story. I've been raped by a Marion County sheriff, which I didn't think I was gonna make it back from.
So, Robin, what led to you being raped by the sheriff?
I was trying to turn a trick, Angie. I was turning a trick. I had been alone with him before, and he had taken me to a couple of his friends' houses in the past, but we had never did anything. He would just give me dope. This particular night, he took me way out off of Michigan Road, around 79th area. It was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I remember what the houses looked like. They were beautiful, and they sat back up on hills. So if I would have screamed, nobody would have heard me. Quiet street. And he pulled out a gun and put it up to my head and told me, "Bitch, put your hands on the dashboard and you better not move them." And his exact words to me, Angie, was, "It's pitiful I had to bring you all the way out here just to get you to make love to me." And I had to lie and act like I liked it and be into it, just so this man didn't leave me on the side of the road somewhere dead. And that's what I did. I pretended like I liked it. And as soon as we got to, I don't know what 100 block that is, where Church's Chicken is off of Michigan Road in that plaza, when he got me back to where I knew where I was, where I recognized where I was, and we was at a light, I jumped out the car and ran.
71st Street.
71st.
Yep, 71st
Yes,
Street.
I ran. And when I say I ran, I ran. I ran all the way back to 30th of Baltimore to my sister's house, where he had picked me up from outside. I walked in there and I didn't tell nobody what had happened. I started getting high again. She had a house full of company and I started getting high. Once again, numbing the pain. I'm like, nobody will believe me. Nobody's going to believe me when I tell them that. So why even bring it up? I just went on like nothing had ever happened. Hmm.
So did you see him again, or after that, did you ever run into him? Have you ran into him since then? With
No, 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 I ain't ran into him again. And honestly, Angie, I don't even know what my response would be if I ever did. I don't even know, for one, I don't even know if he would recognize me. I was a buck 05. Y'all seen the picture with me in that purple. I was on dope in that picture. Um, I'm well over 200 pounds now. I don't think he would even recognize me. I don't even know if I would recognize him. That was about 20 years ago.
If
I
he's
just
even
stuffed the
living.
pain and kept going.
Man.
I
so,
remember. Go ahead, Angie.
oh, so you said he was giving you drugs as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he's
I wonder
picking me
where he
up.
was getting them from. I wonder
Huh?
where he was getting the drug. I wonder where he was getting the drugs from.
You
I
know
have
what
no
he was
clue.
getting from Poston.
I know. I'm just saying, like, well,
You
come
know
on now.
exactly
Like
where he was getting them.
he
He was
doing
getting
he
them
doing
off
hella
the streets,
he
shaking
doing hella
folks'
wrongs. You know what I'm saying? That is crazy.
You'd be surprised. I'd have been with. Um, this was years ago though. Like I said, I haven't touched cocaine in close to 18 years. February the 11th, 2006 is my clean date. And yeah, the shit I didn't get high with back then. The coach, defensive coach, he was coming up in the hood getting high with us. I didn't have sex with that man. I didn't been to that man, him and his wife's house. See, that's the thing about drugs. They don't care. It will make you compromise your morals. Being with a married man and that was not in my character. That was never in my character. But when you on dope, you don't give a fuck. So shit, I'd have been to his house to help him collect some shit to sell because his wife had shut the bank account down so he couldn't get no more money out. You would be surprised of the deacons in the churches and the people who look down on the drug users, but are the ones who's creeping with us or used to anyway. You know what I mean? You know, huh, life can throw you a lot of curveballs.
So how long were you in prison?
I was in prison for 2 years, but I was in the jail before I even got made it to prison. I sat in Marion County Jail for a while before I even made it to DOC. You know, you get sentenced, but you got to wait for DOC to come pick you up, and it's when they feel like picking you up. So I sat there a little while before I even made it to prison. You know, and this whole time I had no clue what was going on with my kids. Like I want to say I love my kids back then, but that ain't what my actions showed. And I say that, you know, I say that part because there are so many people out here that are still using drugs that you have to take personal accountability for your role, for your part. And this is me taking personal accountability for my part. Because if I love me and I love my kids that much, drugs wouldn't have been put in front of them. That's exactly what I did.
So Robin, when you was incarcerated, did anybody did your kids come and see you when you was incarcerated?
No, my kids, Brandon at that point was 18, 17, and just turned 18, something like that. 17, because he graduated high school early. He was with his uncles. No, I was in Rockville, Indiana. My daughter, like I said, they're 5.5 years apart. So he was 17, she was 12. There was no way for her to come and see me. Um, and I don't even know if I would have wanted it. Honestly, it would be hard to do to watch my kids walk out the door without me. You know, I'm stuck there in prison and they coming for a hour or two visit and then they gone. That's hard. But no, I had no one to bring my kids. I did write them letters, and actually, Brandon would write me back. Amazingly, he wrote me back a lot. My daughter's dad was a dick. This is a man who never did shit for her a day in her fucking life. His grandmother did a lot to help me with her, but him on the other hand did nothing. And when DCS was he came into our lives, and he stepped up. Now he wanted to step up all of a sudden and get his child. So that's a whole different pain right there. But he wouldn't let her get none of the letters. He wouldn't let her talk to me. He was just downright evil, downright mean, and was downright mean to her. He's a piece of shit. He was a straight piece of shit. How he treated my daughter when she needed him was not right. Mentally, I wasn't there. And he couldn't take up the slack for a little while. When I came out of prison, my daughter was living with one of his friends. He had dropped her off over there. And I happened to know the friend, so she called me. I called and found where Rachel was. And then I called, and she told me to come and pick her up. She said, I can't do it. She said, I ain't got no food. He's not giving me no money to help with food, no nothing. And I got my own kids to worry about, and I can't do it. So I went and picked her up. After 6 months of me having her, now this man never once reached out. After 6 months of me having her, he decided he wanted to report her as a runaway. She ain't been more ran away. So I had to give her back or face going back to prison. So I gave her back. And then that made me have to um hmm, how do I say this? I had to damn near bow to him in order to see my daughter. Like I was giving her my food stamp card so she can get some food to eat because he was taking his stamps and jacking them off. He had my daughter sleeping on a dirty mattress. I'll never forget it. I act like I wanted to see him just so I could see her. And I went over to their house where they were staying at the time, and I was combing her hair, and I went in the bathroom, and there was a sock laying on the tub and a loofah sponge. And when I came out the bathroom, I asked her, I was like, "Is that your sponge?" She said, "No, mommy, I wash up with the sock." It took everything in me not to kill that man. But then I was also mad at myself because I allowed my addiction to get that far gone to where this was my options for my child. She was sleeping on a mattress that was dirty with no sheets on it. And this is the person that the courts gave custody to. They could have let her with my aunt, my mom's sister. But since he was the father and he stepped up last minute saying he wanted his child, they let him get her. He would use her as a pawn against me, against his mom, against his grandmother to get his way. Again, Brandon was 18 at that time. He was of age, so they couldn't mess with him. And he was living with family. But drugs, on one hand, saved my life because I wanted to kill myself. But then drugs, on the other hand, destroyed my life. But then I can't really say that really because then if I hadn't have never picked up drugs, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I know I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wanted to be an accountant. I loved numbers as a kid. I was a math fanatic. But because of everything that I went through and I saw how the criminal justice system treated addicts, I made a decision that that's what I wanted to do with my life. So while I was in prison, I wrote Martin University wanting to get enrolled. And Angela Harrington Martin now, her name is Martin. She's married now. She wrote me back. I'm going to fire up a cigarette. I hope y'all don't mind. But she wrote me back. She sent me the application and everything. And I came out of prison. I started college. Still battled with my drug addiction for a little while after that. I came out June of 2003. What makes it so bad is I caught another felony when I came out of prison. I got back on drugs again. Got my daughter back. Motherhood was a lot. Still hadn't got my life together. Didn't really have a job. Really didn't have a place to stay. A friend of mine let me come and live with her. And I thank her for that. But I got back on drugs again. Caught two more felonies.
What made you relapse?
Dealing with life on life's terms. And it's easier to numb myself than to deal with life. I just got out of prison, fresh out of prison. I was forced and back into motherhood because her dad wasn't taking care of her. So, his friend told me to come and get her. So, with nowhere to go, no job, I felt overwhelmed. And I did what all addicts do. I said, fuck it. And I start getting high again. That's exactly what happened. I start getting high again. I couldn't deal with life. At that time, I could not deal with life. It was a lot to handle. I started shoplifting again, because, hey, no job, no money. So I started shoplifting to support my drug habit again and caught two more cases. But in the process of catching those two cases, because I just knew I was going to go on my way back to prison, um, I started slowly getting my life together. I got an apartment for my daughter and I. Um, I started going to NA meetings. I was going to a place called the Bethlehem House for support groups. I was still, like I said, battling my addiction, but it wasn't as bad as it was before I went in. Um, and I tried so many different ways to stop. I done been dipped in holy water. I done been chanted over, prayed over. I'd been to countless treatment centers trying to get clean, and nothing had worked. I wanted to stop, but it was easier to numb my pain that way instead of facing the issues that caused the pain. And I just kept getting high until I finally stopped. Addiction is a beast. It is a beast. It has destroyed a lot of families. It damn near destroyed mine. But I got it together eventually. I finally stopped using February the 11th of 2006. And I finished my, huh?
I was going to say, what brought you to that point that you no longer wanted to use?
I remember one of the last times I used Angie. I was at my, like I said, I got me and my daughter an apartment. Um, and she was in her room and I was in mine, and I caught myself sneaking to get high. And I got high, and I was a bad tweaker. Let me just say that I was a bad tweaker. And I found myself in my daughter's room under her bed because I swore somebody was in her room up under her bed. And I stayed down there so long up under her bed, looking, not literally crawled up under it, but looking up under her bed. I stayed there so long that my highs start coming down. So I finally came from up under the bed, and my daughter was sitting in the middle of her bed crying. She was a teenager by then. That's the moment I knew that I really needed to change, that this wasn't working for me no more. I never wanted to see that look in her face again. So, in the process of going to the support groups at the Bethlehem House, which I wish had never closed down because it saved my life along with countless other addicts, using addicts. And they did not only just work with using addicts, they worked with people who were HIV positive, who had different things going on with them. It was a holistic place that you could go to that just loved you through your mess. Um, I thank Nate Rush so much that is that he, at that time, the executive director of the Bethlehem House, for helping to save my life. And so I was going to support groups there, and I was sitting in one of the substance abuse support groups, and the guy leading it, I don't want to give his name because that's his place to say his name. And I was sitting at the table, and he threw his keys in the middle of the table. It was a conference table, and he said, "Oh Lord, we might lose sound for a second. My husband's gonna get in my car, and my Bluetooth is gonna kick in." Um, Hello. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can
We
still
can
hear.
hear. I can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So he threw his keys in the middle of the table and he said, picture that as a kilo of cocaine. He said, if you don't pick it up, you can't get high. And I just looked and I said, huh? He said, if you don't pick it up, you can't get high. He's like, you literally have to pick it up in order to get high. If you don't pick it up, it's just going to sit there. And I was blown away. And that was the last time I ever picked up cocaine. The last time. Because that was the only thing that ever made sense to me. All the countless churches I'd been to and been prayed over and chanted over, and my addiction go back so far to Winona Hospital. I don't know how many people remember Winona Hospital, but they had a substance abuse program there. I even went through their treatment program.
Ooh, on Meridian.
Yes.
I remember that one right there.
Yeah, my grandmother went there when that's her hospital of choice when I was a kid.
Hmm.
Winona, that's old school.
They had a substance abuse program there, an inpatient program there. I didn't last no time, and I was back out the door. But yeah, nothing else worked until that moment, and I haven't picked up since. I went on. I started at Martin, but it stopped. I picked my classes back up, finished my bachelor's degree, then I finished my master's degree. I was able to get my record expunged as well as my DCS cases because now I didn't only have one DCS case. I had caught two. I got my kids back and turned around and caught that last one where they didn't get Brandon, but they got my daughter. My son literally grew up with me. I mean, he had no other choice. I was 15 when I had him. So by the time I was 30, he was 15. So he saw all of my addictive ways. He was there to see it all.
You think you being addicted to drugs made um him have that name Rambo, like him just being all over the place? Because you think he was kind of upset at you being on drugs?
Oh, ain't no kinda. He was. He was upset. And it showed after I got clean. He had a lot of anger, a whole lot of anger. But thank God today our relationship is solid. You know, it's a mother son relationship and it's solid. But he had a lot of anger and it was justifiable. I wasn't there. I could say I was there even when I was there, I still wasn't there because my mind was somewhere else. Ooh, that's an ugly picture. Yeah, I was hiding that picture too. I was using drugs in that picture too. So um, I had to take some accountability for it. But I also had to let him know that, you can't blame me for your adult decisions. You know, when you was a kid, yeah, you was a victim. When you was a teenager, yeah, you was a victim. But once you became a grown man, you became a volunteer. And I stopped allowing his anger to affect my life. And I had to tell him once I got clean, and I think I was probably about 10 years clean when I told him, like, you missing out on the mom you got today because you won't let go of the mom that I used to be. Like we used to have some big blow ups, real big blow ups. And again, justifiable because I did some shit. I was going to jail, leaving him and his sister at home by themselves. Nobody to take care of them. They had to figure it out on their own. You know, that was me. I did those things. So yeah, he was angry. He was angry.
Yeah, because we had him on here. He said he was taking care of his sister at 14.
He was 5.5 year age difference. He was. I'm not saying that I wasn't there because I was there. I was still cooking. I was still cleaning. I was still doing all those things. I was just numbing my pain with the drugs. That was right after my best friend got killed. Their godmother. Yeah, he was doing a lot. I mean, what can I say? That's what happens. Mm.
But one thing he did say on the last time he was on, because he, has been on here twice, because we just let Slim freestyle when he comes on, because he's full of stories. But he did say that he was very proud of you. That was one thing he did say that.
Yeah. You know, when people hear this, they're gonna say, "Oh, you was horrible. You was horrible. You was horrible." Yeah, I was. But my kids never went without a roof. They never went without food in their belly. They never went without no clothes. Cause I'd be damned if I'm gonna go steal it for somebody else and I steal for my kids too. It's just I couldn't get it together. I just could not get it together for nothing. But today I won't trade my life for nothing. I'm married to the most loving and caring man. We live a comfortable life. I'm a mental health counselor now who specializes in substance abuse because I want other people to get it. I want other people to get their kids back. I want other people to live a prosperous life. Um, and I get it. I understand. I get it. So my pain became my purpose. And that's what I do now. I work for a very good agency. I work for myself, but I receive my paycheck through them. And I help parents through DCS who are involved with DCS to get their minds right and get their children back and keep their children. And I love what I do. I truly love what I do.
That's a blessing to love what you do. That's a blessing in itself to love what you do because a lot of people go to work and you going to work because you done been there and done that. Like you said, you done got your kids took away from DC from you twice from DCS. So it's like you know the ins and outs, and you want to help a lot of people that's going through that because you know the feeling. When you know the feeling when somebody go through something, it's like you want to help them. And a lot of people that don't know, they don't even care. So you done been through it. You done been through them trials and tribulations, the pain, and to see your kids go through it, and you don't want to see nobody else go through it. And that's a blessing in by itself. But to share that,
You know, I found out that your gift is something you do when you do it, time stands still. And once you find your gift, you find your purpose. And God says He will make a way for you in your gift. He has made a way for me in my gift. I couldn't ask for nothing more.
Yeah, I see the smile on your face. That's what's up right there, y'all. Give him a round of applause, y'all. Yeah, y'all. Let's go. Yeah, I knew you said it was gonna be hard getting you in today because you had company, but I was surprised. I'm glad you came in and told this story because our first interview we had it was a female, and I keep bringing this young lady up, but she had more excuses than a little bit with Tia and Angie about how she couldn't do this and how she couldn't do that. But when it had like three or four people come, I mean, let's two or three people come up and tell their story and blow hers out the water. But this just shows her strength is not as strong as everybody else's, but she has it, just like you had it, and you had to find it. Like the drugs took all your strength, like you said, it was like it had you, and then one day you just rose up after Phoenix and just I'm not gonna do this no more. And it takes a strong character, a strong mind to do something like that. And a lot of people are still, like you said, still battling right now, and they can't find their way, they can't find that light, and you found it. My God.
And it's not that hard. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I'm proud of you. And
Thank
Uh,
you, Angie.
you know you're my girl.
Hey, Angie,
Robin,
hey, it's Robin. Angie's been talking about you. She been talking for like a month. She said, "I'm gonna get Robin over here. I'm gonna get Robin over here, and you on here."
yes, because Slim
That
was like,
girl's that
"You
girl.
ask her." I said, "You ask her." I said, "That's your mama. You ask her." He said, "That's your friend. You ask her." Then
Yeah,
Slim also said it too. He said, "You need to have my mama on here."
Well, and I'm still just scratching the surface, of everything that drug addiction and that lifestyle took me through. Um, I'm just that was just the surface of it, but because it's kind of hard to explain the pain from being raped. It's kind of hard to explain the pain of feeling like you all alone with nobody and what that takes you to and what that would cause you to do. It's kind of hard to explain the pain of losing your children to DCS and not having nobody, not one family member, step up and get them. You know, it's hard to explain the pain of losing your mama when you're 17. It's hard to explain the pain of being in prison and not knowing what your kids are, or are they okay, and have they ate today, and are they being fed correctly, and God forbid have they been molested. You know, it's hard to explain the pain. I could tell you all day long, but if you ain't did it, it's hard to explain the pain. But what don't kill you makes you stronger. And that's exactly what happened. And now I'm that person that don't take life for granted at all. I am grateful for the struggle. I'm grateful for the triumphs because nothing is worse than what I lived through with my addiction. And that's what using addicts right now need to know, that once you make it to the other side, it's a beautiful thing. And nothing you go through on this side is ever going to be as painful as when you was using drugs. It's never going to be as painful as that. And everything that you had to undergo because of your addiction. Can y'all still hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes, we can.
Well, my husband just pulled back up. I was just making sure my Bluetooth in my car didn't pick up. Um,
Okay.
So you said so from 17 is when you started to what age did you end? How old were you when you stopped?
37.
20 years.
20.
So just all of all of Slim's childhood. Hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
And we know from, a lot of people don't make it to the other side. And you are truly blessed. And I'm glad that you had the opportunity to make it to the other side so that you could help bring people across that bridge with you.
Edgy, when I get calls from past clients and stuff, and they're telling me their triumphs and they did this and they did that with their life, and thanks, babe. Um, I get so happy. I get so happy because they instantly call me. Uh, I've had them call me from clients I've had 6, 7 years ago. Call me Miss Robin, Miss Robin. I just got my GED, Miss Robin. I just got my driver's license back, Miss Robin. And for a recovering addict, those are successes. Those are straight successes. They might not mean a lot to some people, but to a recovering addict, every step that you make forward in progress is a triumph because it's so easy to say, fuck it. Even right to this day, I know all I have is today. I live in today. I can't change yesterday and I can't worry about tomorrow. All I have is today. And I know if I don't do what I need to do today, picking up dope is still always an option for me. It's always an option. But I know I play the tape through. And when I play the tape through, I already know everything in my house is gonna get. First thing is gonna go is any money that I have. Then my car is gonna be gone because I'm gonna pawn it out or I'm gonna sell it off. Then I'm gonna sell. Eventually, I'll get around to selling everything in the fucking house. Then there goes my marriage. My marriage is down the drain. So now I ain't got nowhere to live, and I'll be back walking the streets selling my ass for a few twos and threes all over again. There goes my career. There goes everything because now I'm going back to jail. I know all I have is today, and keep an attitude of gratitude every single day. I'm grateful to have my own fucking key to my door. Because I remember a time when I was homeless and didn't have a key, and I had to sleep with various means just to have a roof over my head for the night. I get grateful that I have lights. Because I remember a time where I didn't have none. I get grateful. I'm grateful to flush my fucking toilet because I remember a time where I didn't have running water. I am grateful. I get grateful for the smallest details, things that people take for granted. Because who gets grateful for flipping on a fucking light? I do. Who gets grateful that I don't have to sleep with different men just to have a roof over my head for the night? I do. My husband get on my last fucking nerves half the damn time, but I'm grateful for him because he keeps me grounded in a lot of ways. Some days I can't stand Hitman, but I love his last year draws. because he's the calm in my storm. I am so
Mr. Cox,
grateful.
y'all. Mr. Cox, y'all.
Actually, it's Mr. Yates.
Mr.
My name
Yates.
is Cox
Oh,
Yates.
so, Cox Yates. Well, my damn, I'll be fucking up.
Yeah, it's Cox Yates. That's
I'm
my
on
boat.
phone, Robin.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm,
Cox
I'm
is my
calling you
dad's
Robin like I've
name.
been knowing you. I'm calling you Robin like I've been knowing you. I've been knowing you all 3 days. I'm calling you Robin like I've been knowing you for 10.
That's okay, because now I'm gonna be looking for your face. Angie gonna have to show me, introduce us in person.
Yeah, I barely come out. You probably won't see me till 2016. I mean 30,
16.
30, 30, 3016. Shit. Oh my
He a little
God.
ghost out here. He don't appear. Robin,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you who he. I
Nah.
don't know if you remember this. At one of Slim's barbecues, we were at the park on 46th and Shadeland,
Okay.
and him and all of his friends came through in old school drop tops.
Yeah, I remember that.
Um, what's the little the spiders, the little three wheelers?
Yeah.
What are those? That's before they were popular.
Can the
And
can
his
can
them
M's.
Can-Ams. And they was riding the kids around the park on the Can-Ams, and the kids just loved it.
I remember that. I
Hmm.
remember that particular barbecue. Yeah.
Yeah,
Still don't
we
remember
fucked
who
up.
you, but I remember that.
Yeah, I'll be low
I
key.
remember
I'll
that.
be low
And he
key.
jumped out a drop top old school Chevy with dreads down his back and no shirt on.
Oh, you was
Yeah, I had
flexing.
dreads back then. Yeah, I like the flex. Yeah, flex.
You still got that drop?
Nah, actually, it was my brother's, but it was an Oldsmobile Chevy. It was an Oldsmobile Cutlass, and we took like about 20 cars up here. It
I
was
remember.
crazy.
Because y'all was all up
Yeah,
on the grass and everything.
yeah, we went through the grass. We didn't care. We from the hood. We don't care.
That was good times. That was
Yeah,
real
it
good
was good
times.
times. Yeah, we're gonna try to bring them back.
Wow, Robin, you
Not the
have a hell of
cars,
a
but the
story. And I
barbecue.
really appreciate you
Yeah.
taking the time to come on here and share this with us. And I hope, there's somebody out here that's struggling with, substance abuse, with mental health issues, with rape, any of that. Robin is here.
Yes, I am.
Robin is here. She always says that she's available to help anyone that she can, and you know, is
And
always
I do.
talk to somebody. But when you talk to somebody that has been there, that has walked that walk, and you can call it no, you can call they bluffs. You know when they lying. You know when they're making excuses. You know where to send them to, what to do. That's awesome. And I'm just girl. You touch me when we talk about this stuff. You know it always because you are definitely a walking miracle. Because you could have been a
You're
whole lot
welcome.
of places, but you're right here.
Whole lot of places.
Jail,
You know,
jail, hell.
I've
Hey,
been
and
to
it's some stuff
hell
you left out too. It's some stuff you
a
left
whole
out too.
lot.
That phone call. It's some stuff you left out too. So y'all know it's gonna be a part
Yeah.
two. She didn't tell about some other stuff, Angie. You know. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
This is a
We
book. This
appreciate you.
woman needs to write a book.
Hey, yeah, write a book. We got. Hey, what, Tia went to sleep on us. I don't want her. I don't want her to be like. I wanted a question posted, and you don't knock me off of here. Tia, where you at? You sleep? She might be. She might be doing homework. Well, Miss Robin, we appreciate
Tia,
you for
where you
being
at,
coming on the
Tia?
show.
It's
She
Tia that cut out on us.
I don't know what
No,
she doing.
I didn't. I'm doing 20 things at one time, but I
She
heard Robin's
always.
story. And I had to back up because Robin was about to have me crying. So I had to like disengage for a minute and then come back. So
I did
yeah.
too.
I ain't gonna even lie.
I'm over here sweating this shit like, boy, but she got a story, man. When you told me about the sheriff, and it's crazy because I live close to the area you was talking about, and I'm like, I felt some type of way. I'm like, this dirty motherfucker.
Yep, and I live in that area. I live off of 79th Street also.
If I ever went down that
What?
street, I'll never forget the houses because it was this one particular house that sat so far up on the hill. It was a white house. It had the big columns to it. It was a big, beautiful house. And I'm like, if I scream, they are not gonna hear me.
It sounds like he
On
had you down here
71st Street.
towards Spring Mill because there's a house almost a Spring Mill that's like that. It's got a 2-story house, brick house,
Yeah.
columns. It's on the right left hand side, almost a Spring Mill. I used to pass it every day going to work.
But at 3 o'clock in the morning, ain't no cars out there.
Nah.
So
There's
if I was to scream, well, nobody gonna hear me. And
You talking about back then? You talking about back then where it wasn't as crowded as it is as right now? It's more people
exactly,
living out here. Back then, it was a cornfields and shit. It was nobody living out here back then. So, well, nobody gonna hear you.
well, nobody gonna hear me. I wouldn't have made it to their door. He would have shot me. He would have shot me. He would have killed me. Because he had that look in his eye. He went to his truck. And when he came back, I just knew he was, I was not going to make it. So I started smiling and acting like I was enjoying this man raping me. Man.
So you got a couple of your favorites on here, Robin. Frankie's on here,
Hi, Frankie.
and Gayla's on here.
Hi, Gayla. Gayla know a lot of it.
Yeah.
Gayla was there. She was there when I was
Gayla.
beginning to get my life together. And Frankie from my hood.
2-4.
Bam.
If don't nobody else come and support us, Frankie and Roro are here for every
Yeah.
show
Every
we
show.
do. Frankie and Roro, I thank y'all so much for being here with us. And everybody else
I'm definitely
also.
getting them about a wine. Frank and Roro always there. Dodge City, baby. That she said. Hey now, love. Dodge City, turn up.
Ain't that it?
Well, I thank you, Robin, for coming on the show. If T and Angie ain't got no more questions or the chat ain't got no more questions, we're gonna let you go because we know you
So
probably been
we
cooking
want to
all
get you
day.
and Slim on here together. If y'all gonna
Oh
behave.
yeah.
You see me say, "Whew."
Ooh. And Slim
Ooh.
always
I get him
comes
on-
on the shows with us too. He's been quiet today. Where is Slim?
In there with my grandson, trying to keep him landing from out the camera.
Yeah. Hold on, boy. Hold on. Hey, we're gonna get you on off of here. We appreciate you, Robin Cox.
Thank you for having me on here.
Yes. And
Anytime,
for those of
anytime,
you who
anytime.
missed her video, post and show her video before we go. It was really nice.
We got you. All right, we got you. Angie, my boss on the low.
I say a prayer every night. Whatever I do, I'll get it right. With no regret, no guilt, no shame. This time, no, not this time. Once I surrender, I won't dare look back. 'Cause if I do, I'll get off track. Move ahead in faith and patiently